All right, we are looking at the review. I'm going to do some of these, and then you're going to do some on your own. We do have a quiz over this tomorrow, so please, please, please pay attention. Okay, I am going to do basically the odd ones on this first page or this first column, okay? So we're just adding things that have imaginary numbers in it. The only thing we've got to do with this is add like terms. So -3 plus -2 is -5. -5i plus 6i is just 1i or I. Okay. Questions about that? Do you want me to zoom in a little bit? Okay. Okay. You can ask a question. We're just combining like terms. So it's -3, -2 is -5. We've got -5i plus 6i is 1i. Okay. Now we're going to do negative, and this is what we're talking about where we can distribute the negative if we want, or we can just think of it as minus. 4 minus a -3 is 4 plus 3, so that's 7. 4 minus a -3, right? If we've got 4 minus a -3, that's the same as plus, okay? That's why that distribution is nice sometimes. -5i minus 7i. Try that again. -12i, good. Because it's got that minus in front of it. You're subtracting 7 more I from it. Okay, so addition and subtraction, just count, looking at those like terms. Negative is just distributing them. Okay, let's look at number 5. Number 5 is where we're going to use the box method, okay? So I'm going to make a box. You can foil instead if that's easier for you. I like it because I feel like foil, sometimes I get lost in what I'm doing, where the box method, it keeps it very organized. Okay, so I'm going to put 2 -3i on the side and 3 and 5i along the top. You could have flipped them and done it the other way. It would have been fine. 2 times 3 is 6. Good. 2 times 5i is 2 times 5i is 10i. Now we're going to do the bottom. -3i times 3 is -9i. Good. And -3, can we pull the door closed because I can hear other people teaching? -3i times 5i is, okay, and remember I squared is the same thing as -1, remember that? So this is, just like Abby just said, is 15. Because -15 times -1 would be 15, right? And I squared is -1. Okay, so we're going to combine like terms. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 10i and -i is 1i. Oh, yes, thank you. Sorry. I can count from 15 to 6. Okay. Questions about that? Yep. That's it. 21 plus 1i. So I had a couple people being like, 6 looks weird. Just think of 6 as distribution, and it'll make your life easier. Like, yeah.
How did you get 21?
6 plus 15 is 21.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And 10i plus -9i is 1i. Okay. Now we're going to do division. Do you remember what we have to do for division?
Yeah, we have the conjugate.
The conjugate. And what's the conjugate for this one?
Opposite.
Good. If it's plus, it's negative. If it's negative, it's plus. You switch that middle thing. And then we're just going to have 2 boxes for this one. We're going to do the box at the top and then the box at the bottom. You could do it differently. It's fine. Okay, so I'm going to do 5 and -6i and 2 and -3i. 5 times 2 is 5 times negative 3i is negative 15i. 2 times negative 6i is negative 12i. And negative 6, gentlemen, be quiet or get out. Negative 6 times negative 3 is 18. I times I is I squared. And we know I squared is what again? So this becomes negative 18. Now I can combine like terms. 10 and negative 18 should be negative 8. And negative 12i and negative 15i is 12, 15, 25, 26, 27, negative 27i. Okay, now we have to do the second box. And this one should come out as what? How do we know if we're doing it right? You should just have one whole number with no i's, correct? Okay? So we've got 2 times 2 is 2 times negative 3i is negative 6i, good. 3i times 2 is positive 6i. And 3i times negative 3i is negative 9i squared, which becomes just 9. Now, do you guys see that 6i plus negative 6i gives you 0? That's what you want to happen, these to be able to cancel out. Okay, what's 9 plus 4?
9 plus 4.
Shh, gentlemen. We've got 13. So you just put 13 under each one of these. Yep. Yep, because 8 divided by 13 does not reduce, and 27 over 13 doesn't reduce.
Keep it as a negative 8 plus or minus. Or no, would you do plus or minus?
Nope, there's no plus or minus for this.
Or like if you just kept it together, would you still mark it?
No, I would mark it right. It's more right if it's separate, though. Yeah. Questions on anything on the front? We've done addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division.
I think, yeah.
Okay, so I have one question, so I want to make sure I answer it. Remember that to get rid of these i's on the bottom, because they're not allowed to be there, we have to multiply it by its conjugate. That makes the bottom give me a whole number with no i's. Okay, so we have to, if this is positive, we have to do this negative. Relax. Did you just look at the back and freak out? Calm down. Yes? You could do one box method. It would be like 1 by 2. Or you can just like distribute. Okay? All right, let's turn it over. Which one would you like me to do?
11.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to do number 11. So number 9, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I just want to show you something. All you're going to do for number 9, and then you're just going to use the quadratic formula, is you're just going to add 6x to both sides. And then you get 2x squared plus 6x equals 8. And then you minus 8, and you got it equal to 0, and you can keep going. 2x squared plus 6x minus 8 equals 0. And then you've got a, b, and c, and you just plug them in. 10, you just make y 0. All you did is get everything to the other side so it equals 0. You could have subtracted 2x squared. Yes.
But I like 8 positive. So, you still get the same answer. Oh, wait.
Hey, whoa, I got 2 questions at the same time. Hold for 1 second. Yes, me? Yep, a, b, c into negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Yes?
So even if you did the other, you still get the same answer if you subtract?
Yes, you would still get the same answer. Yes. Okay, now I will do 11. All right. So I'm 10, you just make y 0, and then you go for it. A squared, b squared, c squared, a, b, c, and it's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared.
You make it 0?
Yep. 0. There you go. Okay, now we're going to do number 11. It's actually easier than you think. Okay, so we're going to solve and get x all by itself. So we're going to do the opposite of PEMDAS, right? Is there anything being added or subtracted? What number? 3. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. So we get 5 times x plus 2 squared equals 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, negative 10, correct. Now, is there anything being multiplied? What? 5. So we're going to get rid of the 5. So we're going to divide everything by 5. Please turn off your phone.
-2.
X plus 2 squared equals negative 2.
Is that the answer?
No. Does it say x equals something yet? That is not the answer. Okay, how do we get rid of something that's squared? We do what to it? Okay, if I had x squared equals 144, what would you do? You wouldn't divide any, excuse me, I'm sorry, why are we talking? Shh. Answer my question, otherwise quiet. You square root it. Perfect. Okay, I'm glad. Okay, so now we are going to take the square root. Okay, remember square root undoes the square, so we have just x plus 2 equals the square root of negative 2. Can we have a negative square root?
No.
So we make it what? So how do we do that? Yeah. I square root 2.
That's
We have done this. No.
Does it say x equals?
And I can tell you this isn't at all how I was.
Okay, what do I do next?
You -2.
Minus 2. Yes, there's one just like this in the quiz.
No, -2. Never mind. I is -1.
So x equals negative 2 plus or minus I square root 2.
Now we're done.
Yes. And we have the plus or minus there just because when you square root something, it could be a negative or a positive.
Yeah, and that's not at all how I did the question.
How-
My way took way longer. But it made more sense to me.
Did you solve it all out and then use the quadratic formula after that? Okay.
Oh,
That's probably.
show me how to do it, 'cause I think I learned how to do it.
You can do it that way. Yep. Okay, Miss Huff is going to do it where she gets to the quadratic formula.
Okay, so when I don't know if I can, okay. So when I did this, I saw this and I was like, oh, I know how to do that. So how do you write with this?
It zoomed in really far.
So
You wanna
I
move
did,
up.
where am I?
There you go.
X plus 2 times x plus 2. And then I just brought everything else along for the ride. So I distributed this. I don't write the box. So 5, x times x is x squared.
Keep going.
X times 2 gives me 2x, and 2x, or x times 2 is 2x again, so I just did 4x because I didn't feel like writing it all out.
Right here. This is confusing.
And 2 times 2 is 4. Okay. The box.
7 is negative.
Oh, I made that mistake when I did it before.
Okay.
x2, x2, x squared, 2x, 2x, and 4. Okay? Plus 3 equals negative 7. And I haven't touched that at all yet. So then the next thing I did was I know how to distribute, so I distributed the 5 through. This is so hard. 5x squared plus 20x plus 20 again, plus 3 equals negative 7. Again, I haven't touched these yet because I didn't know what to do with them yet. These are like terms, so I've combined those. 5x squared plus 20x plus 23 equals negative 7. And then I know it has to be 0, so I said plus 7 on both sides. And I have 5x squared
This is a lot, right?
plus 20x plus 30 equals 0, and then I plugged in the quadratic formula.
And then after
So-
this, she's got to go A, B, C.
See, I have to
So
do the...
negative B plus or minus.
We don't gotta do this ever again.
No, you can do it.
You can do it either way.
I don't even wanna do it at all.
Oh, well then you can just lose the 5 points on that question.
No, but like, I need it.
Okay, so it's actually 3 points per question, but you know, whatever. All right, you've got the rest of this review that you need to work on. You got some time in class to do it. You could probably finish it before the end of the hour. Go now.
Bro, okay, Miss